Gosh, I'm trying to think of a panel that I've attended or participated in that hasn't talked about artificial intelligence. It's probably 2021. So probably time we talk about AI. More and more in the front of everybody's mind, and particularly around the workplace and how companies are using it to screen for new employees, track projects, automated marketing programs, in some cases replacing workers. So just love for you to share just what your relationship is with AI, what you're doing to encourage or dissuade the use as it relates to workforce and talent. Secretary Wu, I'll start with you.
Sure. Well, I will say Maryland has not yet issued a formal policy or position on this, so I don't want to get out. Of course, that is something the state is working on, and we have a number of legislators who are very interested in the topic, and we are in active conversation with them. I do happen to have come from the tech industry. My job prior to this January, when I came to the state, was I was the head of public policy for Microsoft and U.S. government affairs. So I have thought about it a lot. I would say just a couple things here that, I think the state and state government, we're facing a lot of the same questions and concerns that individuals in private industry are. And of course, we have to think about bias, fairness, privacy, security, all the key issues that have been identified through federal government and NIST and other agencies and the other commissions work on this. I think for states in particular, we also want to think about we have to do a lot. There are a lot of services that we've all just talked about that our departments have to provide, and we are often doing more with less. So thinking about how tools like automation or AI can be useful, making sure, of course, they're adhering with basic principles to safeguard the residents of our states is really important. But there's a lot of exciting potential here to support state workers and our work and use these tools in a way that can help us serve our constituents even better.
Dr. Morris-Hughes.
Okay, Max. So this is I'm really excited about this question. So I am year 6 into this role, and now I have a little agency, right? So now I get to have some fun. I survived the pandemic barely. When we launched paid family leave, no one said we can do it. We generated over $400 million in revenue to launch the program. So I've checked the boxes and I've kind of proved what we can do, and now I get to have fun. We have fully embraced AI at our state workforce agency. During the pandemic, we saw a lot of bias in technology. Everybody knows, so this is not going to be a jaw-dropping secret, a shocker, that our unemployment insurance systems across the country are outdated. And when we saw that people were applying for unemployment, that multi-generations living in the same household applying for unemployment, they're being flagged for fraud, but they were not fraudsters. We knew we had a problem on our hand. Most of these folks are low income and come from communities of color. So this idea I had with AI and technology really was birthed out of what we experienced in the pandemic. The feds had given us some money for these equity grants, and that was what got the ball rolling. I just was briefed yesterday, and we'll probably put out a press release sometime in the middle of November of a company that we have partnered with, Afold, that uses AI technology to help remove bias from resumes of candidates that we are trying to get jobs. I believe, and I want my sister jurisdictions and states to know that they have my full support, but I believe it is my job to put the most competitive candidate to get any job in the region because I'm competitive like that. And so we saw, though, that the candidates, even the most competitive candidates, had resumes. They had the job skills. I can get them. They knock out the interview, but I couldn't get them in the door, right? right? And I'm talking about 30,000, 40,000 people here because they didn't have resumes that really highlighted their lived experience that translated into occupational skills or job skills. They had resumes that had cultural markers and they were being screened out. So we've partnered with this company, AI. They've built this application for us where you put in a set of life experiences, you take your old resume, you take trainings that you've had, and it generates the most awesome resume for you. It pulls jobs from the National Labor Exchange and says there, gives a likelihood and a percentage of, whether or not the candidate can get an interview. And we know historically women and low income communities and people of color don't necessarily apply for jobs that's at their same skill set. They typically apply below, but it pulls all of those jobs. It gives them the likelihood of getting a interview. It uses the language that recruiters are using and other systems, HR systems that use AI. And it really puts together a package, a resume, a LinkedIn profile. And there has been success in a few other jurisdictions with this application, and it uses AI technology. So I just saw the DC application yesterday. I'm super excited about it. We'll do a press release in the middle of November, and we're going to launch it as a big talent initiative. And I want my fellow secretaries to know that I'll be looking for jobs in your region too, and sending candidates there as well. But we have fully embraced it, and we're using it to drive AI to drive equity here in the District of Columbia.
Thank you. May I ask you to tell me the company again that you've partnered with?
It's called AIGHFOLD. It's AIGHFOLD.
Okay,
and if that's not the right spelling, because spelling is not my thing, I will make sure we get you the right spelling.
Close enough. Thank you. Secretary Slater, AI.
Yes. Governor Youngkin issued an executive directive on September 20th calling for the development of 4 standards and guidelines for Virginia state government to implement AI. And the 4 areas are legal, IT, policy, and education, K through 12. In addition, our Secretary of Education is working with Virginia Economic Development Partnership and my office on a report to the governor examining the workforce development needs to ensure our students are prepared for their careers in relation to AI. And we're just getting started on this, but I think it is critically important that we set the boundaries and everything on what we are going to use AI for and what we are not going to allow AI to be used for now, instead of dealing with the consequences, unintended consequences of problems that it may create moving forward. I think it's going to be a great tool, but I think it's really important that we lay the ground rules now on how we are going to use it and how we're not going to use it.